process. And something that I've learned on a deeper level recently and have been reminded of is our ability to be able to hold space, right? So speaking of my student, and a lot of things we address when I'm working with my students is helping them first identify limiting beliefs that is not serving them, has never been serving them, and to help them let those go, to clear space to take on a new belief about them that's actually going to serve them. But sometimes it's not like, let's take this out and immediately plant this one. Now that can be done, but sometimes we need to learn to let go and be okay with just holding space instead of being like a vacuum to just try and fill that space with anything that seems cool that could maybe kind of work, but it may not be the best thing for you. But most people aren't comfortable with holding space. Even in conversation, like my wife is guilty of, she'll like over talk because she doesn't want awkward silence, space in between, right? But we live our lives that way. And I've been relearning this because guys like us that want to be in the answer, want to be in the solution. And we say things like, hey, God will weed your garden for you. And part of the growing process is realizing like, I've been nurturing this relationship, doing this in my garden, and God or the universe, source shows up and is like, dude, that is a weed in your garden. That is a weed in your life. And God, the universe, source, everything I've been saying, I've been wanting to reach down to pluck that weed out of my garden. Like you taught me, God will weed your garden for you if you let him, right? But then I'll stop and be like, no, this isn't a weed. This is a friend. This is a relationship. This is a season of my life. And God's like, nope, it's a fucking weed. Yoink. And I'm like, right. And that can be a painful process. But now the soil is clear and available for good seed to go back into our garden, back into our ground. But oftentimes when we rip something up, we immediately want to fix it, make it better. Let me put something there instead of just being okay with holding the space and waiting for the right seed relationship to show up. Does this resonate with you guys?
Totally.
Absolutely.
But I've never heard it put that way. But that is like, that's almost more painful than the loss of the relationship, because like now you have to practice patience, acceptance, whatever serenity you can find when you're trying to fill that spot. Cause that's like void filling, right?
That's right.
And for me, I'm trying to address the void and the feeling that's attached to the loss of whatever said thing has been plucked or weeded for me. But I've never heard it put like, what would you say? Holding space.
Just holding space and being okay with that and trusting the process, even back in the conversation, instead of just filling space because you're not comfortable in silence. Sometimes we must be okay in the silence and get real quiet so that we can really hear. But just holding the space for that, it's the unknown, it's foreign, it's uncomfortable, it's scary. You can feel like, am I not doing shit?
Almost like what was taken is better than where you're at now.
That's right.
Yeah.
Or since what was taken and until it gets replaced, then you can write the story. What's wrong with me? Well, what the fuck now? Shit's broken. Are we just on hold? Are we on pause until this gets filled? Then I can move on again, right? Instead of learning to continue to move on and just be thankful that you're lighter, you're freer, you got a weed out of you. And even though you don't know what's coming to replace that, to be okay with just holding the space. And I've been guilty of this because I want to fix it right now. And I'm learning all over again how to just be and hold space and be okay with not knowing what's coming next that's supposed to fill this space. Yeah. I need to just be okay with holding the space.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gee.
And I think, you saying that you're learning to do this, it reminds me of something that I went through in this last few weeks. As I've talked about before with my, starting my clothing line, whatever I do, I really, really like overly pour myself into it because I just want to be the best I can possibly be at something.
Yes.
So in the journey of whether I'm learning to tattoo or learning to make this clothing brand or open a tattoo shop or put on a convention or do a podcast, I just dive into it, everything. I think we all do that, right?
Yeah.
So in that process, as I'm doing things, I learn a lot of things that work for me, but I also learn a lot of things just in general about the subject that I'm studying. And I've noticed, I texted both of you guys about this, actually, your thoughts on this, because I became so educated in the particular thing that I'm studying. I would see somebody that maybe needed some kind of help in their life. And I would say, oh, I got the perfect thing for you. When I was figuring this out, I learned X, Y, and Z. Let me send you some information and break this down to you. And I've noticed that, I guess it's like anything else in life. I guess if you're like if you're an addict and you're not ready for help, you're not going to get it, right? That's kind of how that works. If you're not ready, right, it's not happening. So I've just noticed I've reached out to like 3 different people that clearly needed help financially with, hey, I think I've got a solution for you. I've really learned these things. I think this could really help you. And I've given them this platform. And every one of those people have kind of hemmed and hawed about it. And, well, I'm not good enough for that. Or, well, you're a famous tattoo artist. So, yeah, I can see that working for you. And I've kind of figured out things for them, almost like given them a plan. And it's like, they just don't budge on it. They're needing help. I'm giving them help. But I guess they're not ready. And I was just curious, like, first of all, am I making sense to you guys? Yes. And second of all, is that something you've experienced? Do you know what I mean? Like, as givers, right? We want to give. And it's like, here I am giving you the answer. And then later on too, like I've done it before, where years later, someone will come around and they're doing the same thing I told them. Right. But now they're ready for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. I just find that interesting. You know what I mean? Because it's kind of frustrating when you have something that is going to help your friend, your family member. Like, I want to give this to you. I'm doing this, but I learned this. Here, have it. It's figured out,
One of my old mentors, Ro from Ireland, the fucking crazy leprechaun, I think I've told you a little bit about in the past. And I wished I could do an Irish accent, but he would look at me and Todd and he'd be like, boys, conclusions, that's something you want to run from. Run from conclusions, boys, because you're wrong. Like almost like it's dangerous to draw absolutes and conclusions, right?
Expectations.
Yeah. Being always in an attitude in a state of beginnership. And guys, I don't know about y'all, we all been going through so much. And I feel like I'm being continually operated on internally. And there are things I thought I fucking knew or had settled that are now being rearranged on the inside of me. And I didn't fucking know half of what I thought.
Yeah.
I had drawn some conclusions that here are some basic truths that I believe in. And now I'm being shown a much more deeper layer, like underneath. And my whole world's being rocked.
Yeah.
My garden's being weeded again, totally plowed all over again. But I thought this was fucking good crops here. It's served me for years. And now I'm undergoing a new demolition, right? But I think a big difference, and it didn't feel like I was ready for that, but remaining an empty cup. If we really want to grow, if we really want to see, I say shit to you guys all the time. Like, I want to see my own blind spots, right? You don't know what you don't know. Show me the matrix, red pill or the blue pill. I want to see, I want to wake up, right? That shit sounds cool until it's revealed to you. And you're like, he wasn't ready.